We're on Facebook and Twitter with our post show, continuing our discussion on the new Commonwealth Racial Equity and Social Justice Fund, Black Philanthropy Reimagined. To Quincy and to Pam, there is another racial justice equity fund that came into being around the time that you all were putting together your group. And that one is run by Mayor Marty Walsh. Well, the now Mayor Marty Walsh, but as we know, he's going on to be the Secretary of Labor for President-elect Biden. So the conversation in the community has been, how are you all not competing, but operating in the same space? Question one. And the second question is there any hope, because he can't take that fund with him, that he'll just give that fund, whatever's in that fund, over to New Commonwealth? Pam.
Yeah, Callie, well, first of all, we are working together, right, with the Boston Fund. This is hard work. There is a lot to be done. So we want to make sure that there are allies in this process. There happen to be three co-founders of the Commonwealth Fund who are also on the Mayor's Fund. Oh. And so they include myself, Senator Mo Cowan, and Linda Dorsina Flory. So we are working together. It is not a competition. And the Boston Fund is focused on Boston. As I say, we're the Commonwealth. So there are lots of opportunities that we can work together, a lot of work that needs to be done. We need as many resources as possible. So I think it's a great thing. And I invite other funds, if there are other groups who want to do this, and to work with us together and come up with a strategy so that we can drive true change in our communities.
Quincy, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do. And, I think the first thing I would say is just this question that we've gotten is another example of systemic inequities. Why can there only be one fund for Black and brown people? Like it's just ignorant, right? And this is the conversation. We've worked before either of our funds were announced. We were already talking together. And I think as we move forward to tackle this, I made the comment earlier, sort of it takes a village, right? Our fund, the Mayor's Fund run by Carolyn Crockett, and there's a number of other funds that are out there, and we've having conversations around how we can help these other organizations. We have one source of funding. We can help this organization. They're doing good work. They can get additional funding from somewhere else to continue to scale their model. It's really about a collaboration effect. We talk about wanting nonprofits to come together and work and collaborate well together to create greater scale. That's what we're trying to do with a number of these funds. And I think from a corporate perspective, our answer, particularly corporate perspective, but an individual, our answer is we're not asking you to take the pie and split it around. We need another pie. There needs to be more money committed to this to really drive change, not just divvy it up differently as we move forward.
From looking on high, and then I'm going to get to you, Marquise and Romeo, in a minute for the same question. What can you offer, Marquise and Romeo, in addition to money, in terms of resources that perhaps they might not have gotten from, again, a traditional kind of funding source where we give you the money and we see you next time when we ask you what's going on? Pam, what might you all be offering?
So, Callie, you're exactly right. It's more than just money, right? We can offer our time and our talents. And when you think about our corporations, we have a lot of expertise that we could offer. So in terms of, I'll just say, just for marketing, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of the smaller nonprofits don't have the marketing budget, or they don't have the marketing personnel. So we could offer that. We can also help out with just like PPP, right? If you have people in your organizations who have a really good finance background, that could help the nonprofits as they apply with this next round, will be extremely helpful. So there are many ways that people can bring their expertise to the table to lend support to these nonprofits.
So, Quincy, what Pam is discussing is really a holistic approach. What other ways do you, non-money ways, do you see that your group could be helpful to the grantees?
Yeah, I think the other two really important things is networks, right? As you think about, I sit on a lot of nonprofit boards. It's about having your board, helping to fundraise, to continue to do the good work. And so one of the best options here are the networks that we have as individuals, the networks our corporations have. And I think even more importantly than the initial grants that we do or the grants we do is hopefully the exposure, as Pam talked about before, being here with you, having this conversation. I'm sure there are thousands and thousands of people who have not heard about these two fantastic organizations. And our hope is that inspires those individuals to support them.
Okay. So, Romeo, what other kinds of non-money resources and support would you love to have?
I think what they've said has been what we've been looking for. Like we love networking. We believe that we're part of a much larger movement. Like Pam said, we're located in Holyoke, which is a part of Western Massachusetts. And sometimes it can feel like we're really separated from the rest of the Commonwealth, as well as the rest of the country. Like we're a pretty small city. And I think like connecting our like very small grassroots effort to larger movements in the country is really what we're here for. We want to see large scale global transformation towards justice and towards healing from the last 500 years of colonialism. And we need to do that together. So I think that they've done a really good job at connecting us to lots of opportunities. We get emails from them sometimes of here's an opportunity for people in your organization. This being in one of them. And so we love to take those and we love to bring them to our team and say, hey, what can we do to continue staying connected?
Romeo, I'm going to guess there's a bunch of people thinking they're Latinx people in Holyoke, just to begin. That's what I'm going to guess. I may be wrong, but I'm going to guess that's probably a response just to begin with. Marquis, same question to you. What kind of non-money resources are you looking forward to being able to tap into from this group?
Yeah, like Romeo and Holyoke, we're on the opposite side of the state, small, hidden, often overlooked, though that's changing a little bit. But, Quincy used this word exposure. I think the Black and brown folks that are leading the new Commonwealth Fund to share their stories and their narratives and how they got to where they're at, where they're able to up the ante in the work they're trying to do to uplift communities. The experiences and hearing that for young people, it typically makes a huge impact, to see the possibilities. Again, I said before, to see people in positions that Black and brown people in positions that they're not accustomed to seeing people that look like them in those positions, that can do a lot psychologically, motivationally, and just creatively in how they see themselves in their future. So, especially when the pandemic eases, it would be great to share space in person with some of the folks of the new Commonwealth Fund, make some field trips, as a collective and share space and hear stories.
Which brings me to another question. Now, Pam said that a number of the grantees in the first round, she didn't even know before they began the process of looking around to see and find people like you who are doing this kind of work. So I wonder, Marquise, did you know any of the other grantees on the list that got money along with with Elevated Thought?
I think there was one organization I heard of before.
Wow. Yeah.
That's it. And it's wild because after it came out and you go through the list of the folks that got this grant, you're like, wow, they're doing this type of work. They're doing it here. They're doing it there. And it's like almost like we're doing this work in a vacuum. And Romeo just said this, like, how do we essentially like coalition building to a certain degree? How do we build our community and really connect and collaborate in doing this work?
Romeo, same question to you. Did you know any of the other grantees?
I've actually heard of Elevated Thought before, so I was excited to hear that they were involved. So I was like, oh, I know who they are. So, yeah, I think I knew a couple of them, but same like Marquis said, there's so many organizations doing such similar work that we're just scattered, and we should be in closer connection with one another.
Okay, all right. So Pam and Quincy, now that you're outed, people know who you are, and they know you got money. How then do you take control and have and really focus on keeping your focus on these small organizations that you want to make sure that you're exposing and lifting up, because everybody will be coming at you now. I'm looking for a loan myself, but whatever.
Well, I can help you on the other hat I wear.
Yeah,
with that,
I know, Quincy.
From the fund perspective, as I mentioned, we're a couple things. One, we're particularly focused on fundraising now, and that's because that's where really the lifeblood's going to be to keep this sustainable over the long term. The second thing that we're doing are community listening sessions. As I said, it isn't just about the 19 of us making these decisions, but we're working on community listening sessions to get out there across the Commonwealth, hear about the good work that organizations are doing, and then we're going to formalize a process throughout the year for people to be able to apply to the new Commonwealth Fund. And we haven't ironed out exactly how many times a year, but we're thinking probably 2 times a year as we look at it right now, that we'll do grant cycles to support organizations. But first, it's raising money, and the second is it's listening to the communities and other leaders across the Commonwealth. And will the 19 of you be going to these community meetings, or how will that work? Absolutely. The 19 of us are very much involved. I joke that this is my other job, my other day job. And so, we were involved in was mentioned earlier on the grants when we were having the conversations initially with the first the demonstration grants that we did. The 19 of us are split up into the 4 pillars that I mentioned earlier. And so we really sort of focus on that pillar that either we have personal passion around or we have experience around. And then we come together as a collaboration to help make the decisions. Okay, Pam, did you want to add something to that?
No, I think Quincy hit every point that I was thinking about. Callie, can I just go back one other time to the other resources? One other thing that I might mention, and it's something that we're doing with our company, oftentimes large companies have really robust development programs for their associates. And so what we're doing at my firm is that we are going to allow or invite some of the leaders of the nonprofit organizations to participate in those programs. We will have one focused on women, and we're giving out sort of 20 spots to women, Black or Brown-led organizations who have those organizations to participate in a year-long development program. Wow. And I know, because generally they don't have the opportunity or the budget to do that. So there are many ways, like I said, we have to think creative, think as if there's no box, and try to figure out other ways we can support these organizations. So last question to Pam, to you, Pam, and to Quincy. And, this is a little room for you to just give us some tooting of your own horn, if you wish. But as I said, in the broadcast show, we're looking at you doing a kind of momentous thing, a historic thing. I just wonder how does this speak to the ancestors? I mean, how do you find yourself in this place now as you have actually moved to take some action to address the inequities that you are very familiar with? Pam? Well, I find that, as I mentioned, this is such a unique moment in time. And I say moment because I hope that we could make this as a movement, as Quincy said, and it is an opportunity to really give back to the organization, to use our time and our talent and our resources to make a difference. I'm hoping that we could figure out ways to really drive change this time. I mean, these opportunities don't come up often, right? It was probably going back to the civil rights movement. That was a moment in time. And it took 50 plus years of tragedy to get to where we are today. So I'm hoping we can put some systems in place through the work of these nonprofit organizations to make a change. Quincy?
Look, I think, like Marquise said earlier, I was one of those students who, looked up and didn't see anybody else that looked like me. And the 19 of us, we recognize the opportunity and the responsibility that we have to do more. And as Pam said, to make sure that we're helping to drive this movement, to be able to help drive change so that, the generations that come after us are in position that they aren't dealing with these same obstacles that that everyone has dealt with up until this point.
Last words from Romeo and Marquise. Romeo?
I would just say that this work is so important, and anyone who is watching this who feels moved to either donate to the fund or get involved in racial justice work in their own way, like, we need you. We need everyone to be doing their part, whatever that is. There's room for everyone in the revolution.
Okay, Marquise.
Yeah, and Pamela used the word allies, and I think the way the New Commonwealth Fund is operating in their granting process, there's a lot to learn in the philanthropic circles. And, we're not dismissing our white funders because, like, Romeo, I know, we need those white funders too. So, you know what I mean? But understanding the approach and, that whether that means, coming and sharing space more frequently to understand the experiences of the folks that are running these organizations and the young people that we're serving in a more intimate way, in a more community-based way. I think there's a lot to learn as a collective. We are human species. If progress is going to happen, like, everybody needs to come together. We need to find more effective ways to collaborate and to do this work more effectively.
Well, I thank you all for joining us, and what a fabulous conversation in honor of Martin Luther King's birthday.
Yeah.
Peace,
everybody.
Take care.